If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and Male Advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. Okay, up to around about that point, all these women that are under 30, this guy here gets drunk every night. This guy here, an absolute idiot. This guy here, inexperienced. This guy here, a little bit whiny, doesn't know what he's doing with his life. This guy here just gets drunk every weekend, spends all his money. This guy does too many drugs. This guy's just hit 27, getting a ton of girls. He's a bit of a player, loves sleeping around. This guy has failed a couple times in business, become massively depressed. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be discussing the Male Advantage 2. The Male Advantage concept is something that I talk about all the time. It's in my ebook, it's all over the channel. It's kind of one of the concepts that really started First Man. And the Male Advantage kind of centers around the fact that men have tough lives early on, and a woman can be 18 years old, it can be her 18th birthday, she can have the perfect body, she can have, beauty, guys want to be with her, girls want to be her, people want to buy her stuff, she gets, a VIP access into all the clubs, she doesn't have to queue for things, like, life is good, okay? She gets like 4 promotions just for wearing like a pencil skirt, and for a man it's very opposite, it's very tough, and it takes us until around about 28 years old to start seeing some decent results. 27, 28 is when like the first kind of shift happens. By 30, you really start getting into your stride. And then around about 35 to 37-ish is kind of your absolute peak. Okay, so it doesn't mean you're going to suddenly rise, have 2 or 3 years of peak and suddenly decline, but it just means that's your peak. Like that's the highest that you'll probably likely ever be. It's not guaranteed, but it's pretty accurate based on what I've seen going on in the world. Now, I remember seeing this, what you've seen on screen, and sorry I'm not on camera, guys. I've really hurt my shoulder and my neck lifting weights. And I can barely sit up straight, so it just wouldn't be worth your time watching me on camera right now. I'll see what I can do later. I'll take a couple painkillers or something, okay? But in terms of this that we're getting on screen here, this is a graph that I saw a few years ago in a few newspapers, I think. And it's super interesting. So just to break it down, on the left-hand side, we've got a man's age versus the age of the women that look best to him. And look best is very important here. Now, on the other side, we've got a woman's age. Okay, so it's going down here. Versus the age of the men who look best to her, which is here. And we have, on the surface straight away, we have a clear difference. From top to bottom, for men, we can clearly see the age doesn't really change, okay? Now, I think in the paper it said that 22 was the average. It looks more like 21 to me, but let's say 22. But this men consistently, from the age of 20 until the age of 50, found women in their young, early 20s to be the most attractive. This shouldn't really be a shock, okay? But you can see it's just very consistent throughout our life. It doesn't really change, and you can understand why, okay? Because these women are obviously the youngest, the most attractive. Men don't really handle women aging too well. That's why so many marriages break up, because guys kind of reach their male advantage, and they're looking at their partner who used to be stunning around about this stage. And, around about, let's say, this stage when the man's at his peak and the woman's also 37, it just doesn't kind of work as well. And that's why consistently throughout a man's life, he's probably more likely to have one partner, a second partner here, maybe even a third one to finish off his life. It's just the way it's going in modern society. People are kind of going into 3 different relationships throughout their life. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so now we take a look at a woman's age versus the age of the men who look best to her. And one thing that we can see is clear is every time a woman gets a year older, she kind of matches the age of the men that are most attractive to her. So at any given age, the men are usually roughly the same age until they reach around about, there's two kind of gaps here. There's one there at around about 40. She starts finding slightly younger men more attractive. And there is another one here, where she starts finding younger men slightly more attractive. Now, a lot of you guys will be looking at this and thinking, hey, Chris, why are you telling me to ignore women now and get to this kind of male advantage stage? Sorry, that's the woman's side, isn't it? And get to this kind of male advantage stage here when the only women that I can attract are in their mid to late 30s. That's not really what I want. Well, I'd say there's a couple caveats to this, okay? I would say, number one, that most of these women are basing from young, old, all of them are basing their viewpoint on what they know about men. So the average, see, this is why this changes here. A woman's 32 and she's finding 31-year-old men more attractive. It starts to change there. Is because most guys after this age look like absolute fucking dog shit. And we all know it. And these women are basing it on who they know around them. They're basing it on their dad, okay? They're looking at their dad who's out of shape. He's poor bald. What I mean by poor bald is, you look at The Rock and you're like, damn, this guy, looks good bald. He's stacked, low body fat, grooves in his head, keeps his skin clean. He looks fantastic. But then you got those guys that are in terrible health and they're bald and they got excess body fat and the whole head just looks like mush. Nothing really comes together and the skin's flaky. Maybe they got some of those old spots, those old brown spots on their face. Can't remember what they're called, on top of their head. It doesn't look too good, all right? And that's what these women are basing that on. They're basing it on their dad's friend at work who's a bit of a creep. This 20-year-old girl here, let's say on her Instagram, one of her dad's friends who is 38 years old or something, it might be older, I don't know, I'm able to do the maths, maybe he had her at 18, all right? So one of her dad's friends at work who's 38, he's, just let himself go. He looks terrible. His fucking standards are just rock bottom. He's not really a driven guy. He's obsessed with this girl, thinks she's so pretty, follows her on Instagram. She thinks he's a creep, okay? It's not representative of every 38-year-old man, like, if we were to go and grab Chris Hemsworth, I'm sure this same girl would be like, I'm going to marry him and have his kids, okay? So when you look at a lot of these charts and graphs, you've got to base it on the average person on the street. Like, this is why I always tell you guys about outlier males, becoming that difference maker. Because that's going to be us, all right? But any guy pretty much, to be honest, most guys beyond, from my experience, let's just go with 30, but most guys from my experience over this age look terrible. And the first warning signs start appearing around about here, in my opinion. This is when I first sort of started seeing people that I grew up with looking like shit and just letting themselves go. And it's the same true. It's the same with women too. This isn't a man or a woman thing. This is a human problem. Most people do just let themselves look like shit after a certain time period. They've got no ambition, etc. So that's the one caveat, is most of these women are basing it on, something else. So a 50-year-old woman is interested. Okay, this is a good one here. We've got a 47-year-old woman who believes 39-year-old men look best to her. But if, let's say, Brad Pitt came along or George Clooney, she's probably super interested. And that's not to say, you have to be super good looking, but, make the best of yourself. And that makes a massive difference. Now, the other thing I'd say is the second caveat. The women up here, 20 years old. Of course she wants a 23-year-old man. Of course she wants somebody roughly who's around her age, who has a similar interest, etc., that she finds attractive, that she can build a life with, and, they can go from this age straight down. They can have kids, marriage, mortgage, everything that comes with it, have the perfect life, and they stay together till death do us part. Likelihood of that, very rare. It's probably not going to happen. Divorce rates are currently at 50%. I think they're going to be marriage is going to be obsolete in the next 20 or so years. It's kind of fucking pointless. And then, to let the women down, because that's the thing, these women here are ready to go. They're like, life's for living. Let's build something. Let's get a house. Let's have kids. Let's get some money in the bank. Let's actually do something productive. Guys here, all the way until around about, I would say here, 30, are just fuck ups. And it's not until around about here where guys really, a small percentage of guys really start coming into their own. Like, I remember when I was always working hard here, but when I hit 27, I felt a power shift between me and women. They were interested in you, they were chasing you, and it just got stronger the more I traveled down this line. But it's not until around about here where a guy has his life sorted out, okay? And it's sorted out on a small level. I'm not saying you have to be 30 years old and a millionaire, but most guys don't really even think about, oh, I need to do something with my life. You know, they've been in a 9-to-5 job, maybe saving a little bit of money up to this point, but it's not really until this point where a lot of guys start taking life seriously. So with that being said, of course these women want to be with younger guys, but what fucking option do they have? Okay, up to around about that point, all these women that are under 30, this guy here gets drunk every night. This guy here, an absolute idiot. This guy here, inexperienced. This guy here, a little bit whiny, doesn't know what he's doing with his life. This guy here just gets drunk every weekend, spends all his money. This guy does too many drugs. This guy's just hit 27, getting a ton of girls. He's a bit of a player, loves sleeping around. This guy has failed a couple times in business, become massively depressed. This guy here is just about on the precipice of sorting his shit out. You know, that's the kind of scenario that you're going to get, okay? And that is why this group of women here in the 20s, in reality, okay? So this is what's important here. This is the age of men who look best to her, okay? Men who look best to her. Like we said, these guys look like dog shit. The majority of the time, they look absolutely terrible. However, if you're the type of guy who gets past this point, and let's say you're in this zone, kind of the male advantage zone, and this is why I always say to you guys, up here, we're born with kind of, not looks as such, but we have lower body fat. We have all of our hair. We look pretty good kind of in our, you know, under 30 years old. This zone's pretty good for us, but we also have no money. Now down in this zone, we usually have a ton of money. It becomes more and more the closer we get to like 50, but we don't have our youth because we let it go. We sacrificed it for the chase of money. In my opinion, and this is why I'm always promoting this with First Man, fitness and wealth are the two most important things you can build at this stage and ignore women, you know, before you get to this point. And then just continue building it. But obviously at this point, you've got a ton of momentum. Now, you're going to get to kind of this zone here, this boxed off zone that I'm drawing now. And you're going to be, let's say, I've drawn it a little bit short, but let's say 30 to 37, 38-ish, around about that stage. And you're going to have this giant block here. And don't get me wrong, I personally think the male advantage lasts until around about 50. As long as you stay in shape, you know, it can keep going. My uncle's like 57, got a six-pack, looks fantastic, like still attracting women that are 25 years old. But this is kind of the real peak. This is when you're most desirable. Women actually find men holistically most attractive at 35. That's the data that I've read in the past. But when you look at this zone here, okay, if you've managed to keep yourself in shape, you've managed to work on yourself, and you actually look better at 30 than you did at 23, plus you've got all the money and the assets and everything that comes with it and the maturity and you know what you want from life in this zone, then why on earth would these women here ever want to date one of these guys? Now, they might date them, might sleep with them, etc., but they're far, far more likely to go and actually end up with a guy from this group or actually take these guys more seriously. And I think this is happening more and more because this group of guys are just getting drunk 24/7 from what I'm seeing. It's just not going too well for them. Now, it's changing a little bit. I see on TikTok there's a lot of guys that are staying in shape, staying away from alcohol. But from my experience, this group has really not really sorted their shit out yet, you know, in many different parts of the world. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to do if you're not born with money. You know, this is going to be a massive struggle. You're not, you know, attractive enough to go and fly to Dubai and get paid 20 grand for 1 hour of sex, you know, like a lot of these women do, or go on OnlyFans or whatever, or get taken out for dates by a rich man. Like, it's just not the same scenario. We're going to struggle for a lot longer. But here's what I think. I think when you're in this kind of male advantage zone here, let's bring 38 into it as well. I personally think, obviously, as we can see here, these women will always find these guys attractive, and as long as you got your shit sorted, These women will always think these guys are massively attractive, 40 to 50. I'm not saying that you want these women, but they'll find you attractive. These women are 100% going to find you attractive. They're desperate for a guy who's the same age, who's got his fucking shit sorted. Every woman from 30 to 40 you're going to be able to attract in this zone. And then, as I explained earlier, these girls ideally want to be with somebody the same age. Over 25, I don't think these women care too much. I think they are really focused on this group and thinking, okay, this is exactly where I want to be. Now, this group of guys is competition, 28 to 30, because these girls are thinking, okay, that's within my age range, but also he's about to hit 30 and have his life sorted. So there's that comes into play. But in my opinion, these women will always, as long as you're in shape, you're successful, and you've achieved a lot in life, you've done, you're a decent bloke, you're well-rounded, you're a Renaissance man, so to speak. These women are always going to find this group attractive. They're not going to say, oh, there's a 35, let's say she's 26. She's not going to be like, oh, there's this 34-year-old guy that I really, really like. He's perfect. But, there's this 28-year-old bum, but he's really good looking. I'm going to go for the 28-year-old. She's going to end up here. Of course she's going to end up here. It's just a much easier life. It's more guaranteed. And then you got these women here, which is hit and miss, okay? So you might have 50-50 in this group, which isn't bad. 50% of these girls are just too immature and all they want to do is sleep with some of these pretty boys. But at the end of the day, if you've really sorted your shit out, 50% of these women who are a little bit more mature, who have got the awareness to understand that this is a much better catch down here than this is, that's really not too bad, guys. To honestly think that you're going to have 50% of this group and anything underneath here, so any girl 25 and above, and then 50% of girls who are 25 and below who are attracted to you, I don't think that's too bad at all. And that's the great thing, like I said, about the male advantage is, look, we can clearly see women peak very young. Very, very young. And they have the run of things. They're literally running the show. And it doesn't matter, like, as guys age, every single year, it doesn't matter. We still want to fuck these young, early 20-year-old women. But on the other side of the coin, these women, as they age, they're more interested in guys that are close to their age and something a little bit more suitable. And they don't get that male advantage where if a woman in this bracket, okay, if a woman was here, if she was 40 years old, managed to get to this age and she was super successful, there is no way that a guy who is 37, roughly the same age, 40 years old, whatever, is going to be attracted to this woman. As we can see here, a guy who is 40 years old, let's say, wants a 21-year-old. Okay? It's completely different. And this woman here is going to be at her peak as she goes through her life. She's going to get to 40 years old. She's finding 38-year-old men more attractive. It's just a complete difference between men and women. And that's one thing that you just need to realize, guys. One thing you really need to realize in life is that as a man, you peak later. As a man, things are going to start rough. As a man, you're not going to be on the same timeline as women. You're going to get to 40 years old. The woman that you grew up with that you thought was gorgeous is going to get to 40 years old. You're still going to have access to like 25, 28-year-old women. She's going to have access to like 50-year-old men. Okay? Most women, they might find, look, who looks best to them. This woman here who's 40, she might find a 38-year-old man most attractive. Chances are she's going to end up with a guy who's like 50, 60 years old. Because all of these guys here, they're in their prime. And to be honest, they're sleeping with these women. They're sleeping with these women. They're sleeping at max with these women. They don't want to come down here and sleep with these women who are 40 years old. Whereas in exchange, a woman who's 40 years old, a guy who comes along who's 50, who's got his life sorted, she's probably really interested in, stage 2 of her life now that kids have grown up. And we're in completely different circumstances, and this graph shows it perfectly. But with this, obviously a few caveats. Like I said, it's who looked best to her, not who she's most attracted to. And that's the thing with women. They might, for us, it's like 80% looks. 80% looks and sex appeal that we're attracted to. For women, it's like 30-40% looks and sex appeal. The rest is just other qualities that come with the man. And that is why this zone here for a man. I can draw it on both sides, kind of 28 to around about 40, let's say, if we're really going to push it. And let's do it over here. 28 to around about there. That is why these two zones, okay, obviously it's one zone, but these kind of two zones on the graph, that's why they're the most important years of our lives. And we need to try as hard as we can now to really just, as tempting as it is, because these women here are really interested in us when we're young, you know, and you want to sleep with these young women, chances are you're not going to get them. It's going to be very, very tough. You know, they find these guys most attractive, but what's happening is that this 20-year-old is sleeping with this 28-year-old. This 22-year-old is sleeping with this 30-year-old. This 27-year-old stunner is married to this 37-year-old millionaire. You know, whereas in reverse, this 37-year-old man is with this 26-year-old woman. This 30-year-old man is with this 23-year-old woman. This 27-year-old who's really got his shit sorted is with this beautiful 20-year-old. See the difference, guys? Guys are always dating women that are younger. These women are always dating guys that are older. And they might say that the guys this age are most attracted to them because they're around them more often. But I guarantee you, as the full package, it's going to be something like that. Okay? It's going to be something like that. It's going to be something like that. That's always what's going to happen. Okay? That's why you see so many guys that are older with younger women. You know, even on a smaller scale, like a 34-year-old woman with like a 40-year-old man, you know, or a 30-year-old woman with like a 37-year-old man. There's always like these small little age gaps, and it just works so much better. But trying to live life on the same timeline as a woman is so silly. These graphs show it perfectly. And if you add in the caveats, you actually break down the logic, because this graph is quite simplified. But when you break it down, you really understand that putting the work in now when you're young, in your teens and 20s and potentially early 30s, and just making the best of yourself so that when you enter that 30 bracket, like I said, you've got, you know, you might not want these women, but you've got this bracket available to you. You've got this bracket available to you. You've got this bracket available to you. And then you've got around about 50% of this bracket available to you, depending on your wealth, your success, you know, what you look like, etc., you in shape, like whatever it might be. You might, you know, if you're famous, probably the entire bracket, but it's not bad having 50%, 100%, 100%, you know, and then whatever you want to do there. But kind of any woman under the age of 35, so all the women your age and down, and then including 50% of this bracket are pretty much yours. And it, like I said, it's a hit and miss with these young girls, because sometimes you find like some 20-year-old who's still got the immaturity level of like a 12-year-old girl, and she just wants a guy with abs and a big dick. Like, it's, you know, it's hit and miss, and it's not your fault. You know, you will meet a woman who's 22 and she's massively mature and she is looking for like a 30-year-old man who really has his shit together. But, you know, like I said, it's hit and miss, but it's the best way to live your life, guys. And it's something that everybody should do. And like I've said before, fitness and success, fitness and success, fitness and success. Just focus on the two when you're young. Just tick those boxes, get to 30, stop, take stock, and then, you know, decide who you want to be, who you want to bridge out to be, what extra qualities you want in life, and, you know, start mixing it up a little bit and become a little bit more holistic. You know, you might still be focused on your success or whatever, but, you know, maybe at that point you want to buy some assets, start doing some different things, but doing it up here, trying to chase women in this bracket when you're 20 to, you know, moving all the way down here, you'll get to 30 and you'll realize you didn't really clean up in this bracket because you weren't the man you wanted to be. And you'll come to find that it's these guys in this secondary bracket that are really cleaning up, getting the highest quality women. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and Male Advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.